Hi, I'm Seth, and I'll unbox pretty much anything. In fact, today I'm unboxing something that I never thought that I would pick up, and then I started an unboxing channel and realized it would be pretty good content, so I picked it up anyway, and that is the Google Stadia. But without further ado, let's get into it. So I pre-ordered the Google Stadia right when it first got announced, which was, I don't know, back in like June or July. It was forever ago. And now it's finally here on launch day, which I believe is the official launch day. They did say that some units would get delayed depending on when you ordered it. I don't know if I ordered it right when it was launched or maybe a couple hours later, but I think I did do it on the first or second day. I don't remember offhand, but I ordered it early enough that I'm getting it on launch day, so that's a good thing. I really hope this is it because I didn't get a confirmation email or shipping email from Google or anything. I just got a package in today that said it was from Google, so I don't know what else it could be, but I'm hoping it's a Stadia. So here we go. Let's see what we've got. Oh, it's Stadia. Look at that. So not only did I order the Google Stadia, I also ordered a second controller in the Wasabi colorway just because I was kind of interested to see what it looked like. And I know that's not a great reason to spend like, I don't know, was it 80 bucks, 70 bucks, something like that, but you know what? Hopefully you guys enjoy the video, so that'll make it worth it. I really hope this console doesn't suck. So to fill you in on what Google Stadia is, if you're not actually familiar with it, it's basically the Netflix of games, or that's what Google is trying to do. All you're getting inside this box is a controller and a Chromecast, and all the games and all the processing of those games is actually done on a server farm somewhere else, in the world. And the reason for that is so that you can play the same games and the same save files on your phone, your laptop, your tablet, and your TV. And these are full console quality games, or so we're told. So that's why people are calling this the Netflix of games. However, it is a little bit different than Netflix. Of course, you have a monthly subscription, but some of the bigger games you actually still have to purchase, which is kind of frustrating because if you don't have an internet connection, you just can't play them. Whereas with physical games or games that you download onto your console, you always have them. So I'm interested to see how this actually works because it only uses Wi-Fi and Ethernet if you have an Ethernet connection. According to Google, even if your Wi-Fi is bad or your internet speeds kind of suck, you should still be able to play games pretty well with low latency. The only downside is that you'll be getting a little bit lower resolution. So the reason Google gives you a Chromecast is so you can actually stream games onto your TV, and the reason they give you a controller is for that same reason, so that you can play games on your TV. So that's actually pretty cool. That's something I really like about it because it takes the console aspect out of the games, which, to be fair, I love consoles. I think they're great. They're the reason you can play games so well locally. But if this actually works, it would be interesting to see what this does to the console market. So we'll just have to wait and see. I haven't heard too many great things about launch day of the Google Stadia. I've heard that there have been some problems, but then again, launch days are always kind of problematic, so we'll just have to wait and see and try for ourselves in a few minutes, but I'm excited to check this out. On the front of the box, you've got this silver Google Stadia logo on this completely white matte box, which actually looks pretty clean. On the side, you've got Founders Edition text, because I did buy the Founders Edition. I spent the extra money to get this stupid blue controller. And then on the back, you've got some text that says, "One place for all the ways we play," in silver. So that's a nice touch. On the bottom, you have some information about what's included inside the box, stuff like that, but nothing really that crazy important. So why don't we pop this guy open and see what we've got inside. It's kind of cool, the way that they set that up. You've got the controller right there on top. That's a nice touch, how it kind of comes out of the top of the box. I like that a lot. Okay, so first impressions of the controller. Feel in hand is really nice. Oh, I don't like the D-pad though. The D-pad feels weird because there's a lot of like jiggling before you can actually activate that click. So it doesn't feel like the most accurate thing in the world. I don't know, we have to try it though. The joysticks feel fine. They feel a little bit smaller than a PlayStation joystick. The actual in-hand feel is really nice. It feels a lot like a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. It's got some really nice weight to it too. That's probably the battery, I would assume. It's also got a USB-C charging port there on the back, which is pretty nice. And then you've got your X, Y, A, and B buttons. Similar to what you have on the Nintendo Switch, except kind of moved around a bit. And then R1 and R2 and L1 and L2 right up here. You've also got what I would assume is the Stadia home button. You've got some other buttons here, which probably capture menu, things like that. But I really like it so far. You've got a headphone jack on the bottom, which is a nice touch. I like that. It's not bad. I like the way it feels. Let's continue to open. Okay. Here we go. You've got a USB-C charging cable right there, which makes sense because it plugs in the controller. You've got a USB-C wall wart, and then what looks like the startup guide. The promise of creating one place for all the ways that we play is a long-held dream. Today we are proud to see that dream become a reality. A community of players is the core of Stadia. Thank you for being the first to gather around. Stadia team. This was not sent to me. I purchased this. I spent the money, so they're just thanking me for spending the money. Starting with the controller, get started guide, some Stadia stickers, and then the rest of the stuff inside the box. You've got a Google Chromecast Pro, I believe, which is pretty nice. And then you've also got a wall wart that actually looks like it has an Ethernet adapter on it. So you can plug into Ethernet, so you could actually stream a lot faster, I'm assuming. That's a cool touch. And then of course this power brick that I talked about earlier for the controller charging right here. But that's everything inside the box. Let's move this stuff off to the side, and we'll get on to the second controller. Now, I don't know why I bought a second controller when I didn't even know if Google Stadia would be any good. We'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully Google Stadia works out in some capacity so that my $200 investment isn't a complete waste. But I was really excited to check out the Wasabi controller just because I really like the color. I know that's not a great reason. My fiance doesn't really play games with me other than like Mario Party, so I'm sure that she won't really be into this either. Maybe I'll invite some friends over to play or something, but figured I'd pick it up. At least for the video, if nothing else. So let's pop this guy open. That color really is nice. I gotta be honest. It's like a very light mint color. It's got the same nice weight as the Navy controller, the Founders Edition controller. And of course it would, it's the same thing, just a different color. Put it off to the side. Of course, you've got the USB-C cable right here. You've also got a starter guide right here, but no wall wart. You either have to plug this into a computer, or hopefully you have another wall wart laying around, but I bet you do. I bet you have some USB power ports somewhere, but it's kind of frustrating that you spend like 80 bucks on this controller and you don't get a wall wart with it. So if you don't have any way to charge it, you're kind of out of luck because they don't give you one, but hey, it is what it is. So this is basically everything that I got. I didn't put the rest of the cables on top of the table because you just don't need them. You get a Chromecast Pro, I believe is what it's called, and the navy blue controller in the Founders Edition kit, and then you get the Wasabi controller in the Wasabi controller kit. I guess it's not really a kit, you just get a controller. But this looks like a nice setup. I'm really excited to try it out, so why don't we do it? So, it's a couple days later from the unboxing. The main reason for that is that I didn't actually get my invite code to play Google Stadia until like 2 days after I got the actual system or the parts for the system itself, which meant that it just sat in my office for 2 days and I could not do anything with it. That was the first disappointment with Google Stadia. And I'm gonna say this right off the bat, I'm not gonna bash Google Stadia because I don't think it's a terrible attempt. I don't think it's a terrible product. I just think that the launch was kind of botched and there's already a lot of people out there bashing it. I think the service has a lot of potential, and I think if Google continues to work on it, it will become something that's actually useful and something that's fun to use. But as of right now, it's tough to recommend, especially for 130 bucks. So like I was saying, 2 days after I got my Google Stadia package, I got my invite code. And just to be clear, it's not like I was being stubborn and not buying a monthly subscription so I could actually play the service and just give you guys a video on time. I literally just couldn't use Google Stadia without that invite code. Like, it's not available to people who did not order the Founders Edition, so I was kind of sunk. Setup, unfortunately, was not easy. I had to set up the Chromecast on my phone and then set up Stadia on my phone, and then for some reason I couldn't ever get them to sync, which was kind of frustrating. So I ended up actually using it on my Mac through a Chrome browser, which seemed to work fine. I didn't even need the Chromecast at that point, which kind of stank. I actually also tried to screen record any footage that I got through my Elgato capture card with the Chromecast, which also didn't work. So there was a lot of hurdles. I finally did get it working though, and I was able to play it for about 2 hours. So once I actually got Stadia up and running, the first game that I tried was this sort of fighting game. I don't know what it's called, but it was actually pretty fun. I had a blast with it. I was kind of hoping there wouldn't be any load times, which I know is kind of ridiculous because it's a streaming game, but there were, unfortunately. I did end up plugging in my Mac to my Ethernet connection, and I have pretty fast Ethernet, so because of that, the fighting game actually did stream pretty well, and I didn't have any issues with this game in particular. The one thing I do have to say is that with the Founders Edition, you get this game and you get Destiny 2 for free, and this is where it gets weird, because this service is like Netflix, where it has a subscription fee, like a $10 fee per month, and you are able to access a bunch of different games. However, in order to play a lot of these games, you actually have to buy them outright for the full $60. So not only are you spending the $10 a month fee to actually use Google Stadia, you also have to spend the full $60 to play the game. So unlike a console where you spend like $300 on the console and then you can just play it online or offline or whatever with the games that you buy forever, Stadia you actually have to continue to pay the $9 monthly fee plus actually buy the games at full price. So if you stop paying that monthly fee, you no longer have access to those games. And right now, I guess it's not really an issue for people who have the Founders Edition because we have 3 months free and we also have the games for free, but in the future, that's gonna suck. Like for example, if I got really deep in Destiny 2 on the Stadia, I wouldn't be able to play it if I stopped paying the monthly fee in like 4 months. So that's kind of a bummer. I wish you could just continue to play the games that you bought even if you don't pay for the service fee anymore. But I do know that Google Stadia is eventually going to have a free version which you can try I think next year. So if you do want to try Google Stadia, you do have that option and I think you can buy the games then and then play them on that free service. Not totally sure how that's going to work, but it is an option. With all that said, I don't think the streaming quality was terrible. I think it was decent. The one downside is that I was only able to ever stream this fighting game on my computer and not on my TV because I couldn't get the Chromecast working. And you also can't stream on iPhones yet. You can only stream on Google Pixel devices, so that's even more limiting as well. But where I got really frustrated was when I was playing Destiny 2, which is a game I already have on my PlayStation, I've already beat, so I know what it's supposed to feel like. But when you play it on Stadia, it's an upsampled 1080p game from 720p, so it already doesn't look great. I'm assuming they do that to make it easier to stream because it is such a huge game, which I totally understand. The problem was, even at 720p, it was still glitching a little bit. Like, it would still freeze on me every couple minutes. But the real issue was that my controller stopped working out of nowhere, and it wasn't the controller itself, it was the game. And the craziest part is that apparently right now you can't even use your controller wirelessly on your Mac or something that isn't a Chromecast device. You actually have to plug it in via USB. So my controller was plugged into my computer via USB and it's still disconnected. And I could not get it to reconnect no matter how I tried. I couldn't even control the game with my keyboard. So I was locked in this game, unable to exit it, just running into a wall, which is what you guys are seeing right now. And that sucked. I'm gonna be honest, that was rough. And after that happened, I just had to quit. I couldn't handle it anymore. It was too much. So I stopped. And I haven't played since. So I guess my verdict of Stadia after owning it for like 3 days and not being able to play it for more than a couple hours, don't buy it yet. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I'm not gonna bash it like everybody else. But I will say that really just wait until it gets fleshed out. Wait until all the bugs are fixed. Wait to see if Google actually continues to support it. Then spend the money on it. Right now, it's not worth it. Just don't do it. If you still are really interested in Stadia, like I said, Google should be coming out with a free version of the service in a couple months, so maybe stay tuned for that. But man, don't spend the $130 on the Founders Edition like I did, and definitely do not spend the extra $80 to get a second controller, because if this is how Stadia was with just one person playing, I can't imagine how it would be with 2 people. So just don't spend the money right now, just wait, and everything will be okay, I promise. But now, I would love to know your thoughts on Google Stadia and whether you picked it up for yourself, and if you did, what you thought of it, so let me know in the comment section down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.